All right, diving right in. Today, we're looking at Project 2025.
Yeah, big topic.
Huge, and we've got these excerpts. It's an analysis. Someone really took the time. The title's a mouthful. The Trump administration and Project 2025 as a blueprint for a new social compact. Is this what you voted for?
Catchy.
It is catchy, right. So this roadmap from the Trump administration, Project 2025, it's got people talking, and we're going to break it down.
Absolutely. Lots to unpack.
So much. And the author, right off the bat, they're calling Project 2025, they use some strong words, radical, even neoliberal and neocolonial.
Not pulling any punches.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And for those of us, myself included, who aren't political science experts, can you unpack those terms a bit? What do they mean in this context?
Sure. So basically, the author's suggesting that Project 2025 is pushing for, less government involvement.
Okay, less government.
Yeah, in things like public services, more responsibility on individuals.
Interesting.
So it's like a shift towards privatization, maybe a smaller safety net for folks who need it.
Yeah. So almost like instead of everyone having a right to certain services,
Right.
it becomes more like you got to buy it if you want it.
Exactly, like turning public services, things like education, healthcare, more into a product you purchase.
I see. Okay, that's helpful. And what about neocolonial? That's a heavy one.
Yeah, that gets into how the author sees Project 2025 potentially impacting equality and diversity.
Okay, equality and diversity.
They're concerned it could, reinforce those power structures that already exist.
Uh-huh.
And maybe even, limit diverse voices, different perspectives.
So less of a melting pot, more like...
Yeah, more like imposing a single dominant culture.
Got it.
Instead of embracing all those different viewpoints we have.
So the author's basically saying this project is... It's like changing the rules of the game without everyone getting a say.
Exactly. And they point out how Trump won in 2024.
Right, the election.
But lost the popular vote.
Huge point of contention.
Right. And they argue that this system, where you can win without the most votes, maybe it doesn't actually represent what people want.
Yeah, that raises some big questions about how our democracy works.
Big questions, yeah. And it definitely adds fuel to the fire around Project 2025.
For sure. So let's get into the specifics. Where does Project 2025 actually lay out its plans? What areas are they looking to change?
Well, education is a big one, front and center. They've got this universal school choice idea.
Okay.
It's a core part of Project 2025.
Yeah.
But the author, they think it might be more about defunding public schools than giving parents more options.
Interesting.
They see it as a way to shift funding away from public schools.
Away from public schools.
Yeah, and it could benefit private institutions, which, they often come with a price tag.
That would be a huge shift in how we think about education.
Massive.
So how would that impact students, especially those from, disadvantaged backgrounds?
That's the big concern, right? The author argues that these vouchers and education savings accounts...
Which are part of that school choice model.
Right.
Yeah.
They could actually make things worse, inequality-wise.
Make inequality worse.
Because, imagine a system where the more money you have...
The better education you can get.
Exactly. Public schools might struggle, leaving those who can't afford private options, with fewer resources.
Fewer opportunities.
Yeah.
So it's like universal school choice sounds good on paper, but the author's saying, hold on, it's not that simple.
Not that simple. Lots of potential downsides.
And a lot of concern about how it would actually play out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially for those already facing barriers to, a good education.
Really makes you think.
Yeah. A lot to consider there. And it doesn't stop at K through 12 either. Project 2025.
Yeah.
They set their sights on higher ed too.
Right. College, student loans, all that.
Yep. And specifically, there's this program, the Public Service Loan Forgiveness, PSLF.
Yeah, PSLF, I remember reading about that. The author did not like those proposed changes.
Not at all. They called it a straight-up betrayal. You see, PSLF, the whole point was to encourage people, go into public service.
Teachers, social workers.
Exactly. Those essential jobs often don't pay a ton, but the promise was, work for a set number of years, you get those loans forgiven.
It makes sense. Incentive to serve.
Right. So what's Project 2025 doing, making it harder to qualify?
That's what I thought, too. Tougher requirements.
Nope. Even worse, they're talking about eliminating it completely.
No more PSLF at all.
Gone. Poof. Imagine you dedicate years of your life, public service, maybe not making bank, but holding on to that promise.
Loan forgiveness down the line.
Right. Then suddenly, bam, rug pulled out from under you.
I bet people are freaking out, those who signed up counting on that.
Absolutely. It's a huge life decision based on, a government guarantee.
And the author, they're connecting this to a bigger pattern, right? Like this whole idea of less collective responsibility.
Yeah, it keeps coming up, this theme. You're on your own, sink or swim, even if you're serving the public good.
Individualism over the common good, kind of.
That's how the author sees it, yeah. So we got K through 12 shaken up, higher ed taking hits. What about the job market itself? Project 2025 mess with that too.
I think so. Vaguely recall something about degrees.
Oh yeah, they're proposing to get rid of degree requirements for certain government jobs.
On the surface, that sounds maybe not bad. More opportunities people without degrees can apply.
Right, opening doors, that's the pitch.
Leveling the playing field, maybe?
But the author argues it's not so straightforward.
There's a catch.
Always a catch. They think it could actually worsen inequality.
Even if that's not the goal, how does that work?
Well, imagine, anyone can apply now, right? But who's really going to get those jobs? Those with connections, resources, they still have the edge.
So it's like the field looks level, but it's actually tilted.
So tilted, yeah. And this ties into another concern, this whole idea of deprofessionalization.
Okay, breaking down the professions, how so?
They're worried removing degree requirements, it could devalue expertise.
Like anyone can do it, no special training needed.
Right, and that leads to lower standards, potentially. They use teaching as an example.
Makes sense. Education is their big focus.
Yeah, so think about it. Would you feel good knowing your kid's teacher didn't need a degree to get that job?
That's a tough one. I see both sides making opportunities more accessible, but yeah, maybe we're sacrificing quality.
It's a balance, for sure. And the author thinks Project 2025 is going too far, overlooking some serious downsides.
So far, it seems like this Project 2025, more questions than answers. Is there anything in this analysis that's, more hopeful? Solutions, alternatives.
There is, actually. The author, they don't just criticize, they throw out some different ideas.
Okay, go quiet.
For example, instead of defunding public schools, how about we invest more in them? Make sure everyone has access to a quality education.
Regardless of background, zip code, all that.
Exactly. That's more in line with, that collective responsibility idea.
We were just talking about that, taking care of each other.
Right, the author's big on that. Investing in public, good, strong safety nets. That's what makes a society strong and fair, they say.
Investing in people, not just cutting everything.
And they talk about stronger worker protections, too, especially with all this automation happening, the gig economy.
Yeah, the job market's changing so fast.
Right. So it's about making sure folks aren't left behind in the dust.
Not everyone's a tech whiz. Gotta look out for the whole workforce.
Absolutely. And they even address the Electoral College directly.
Oh, that's a big one. Lots of debate around that.
Yeah, they're not fans. They argue it needs serious reform.
That's putting it mildly.
They say it distorts democracy. You can win the presidency without winning the popular vote. Doesn't sit right with them.
Right, like we saw in 2024, that was a mess.
Exactly. So what do they want instead? A system that actually reflects what the people want. Maybe even like a direct popular vote.
Every vote counts equally. That would be a huge change.
Huge. But they think it's necessary to make sure every voice is heard.
This analysis, it's not just summarizing Project 2025. It's like questioning the whole system.
It goes deep. Yeah. Core principles. How our society's structured.
Makes you think, big picture stuff.
That's what makes it so interesting. It's not just about policies. It's about what kind of future are we building? What matters to us?
Values, priorities, the whole shebang.
Yeah, and it's making Emmy rethink some things, too.
Same here. This deep dive, a lot to chew on.
Plenty to unpack, and we're not even done yet. There's more to explore in this analysis. Really gets the wheels turning. What do we value as a society? Where are we headed?
Big questions, for sure. And the author brought up something about Project 2025 that stuck with me, this whole idea of it undermines the social contract.
Yeah, that's a core argument for them. Like, Project 2025 is messing with that unspoken agreement we have.
Unspoken agreement? What do you mean?
Like, the understanding that we all chip in, right? We contribute to the common good.
Okay, contribute.
And in return, we get certain benefits, protections. It's a two-way street.
Give and take so everyone can thrive.
Exactly. It's like we pay taxes, right?
Right.
But then we have public schools, roads, libraries, safety nets for those who need a boost.
So Project 2025, the author's saying, it's throwing that balance off.
That's what they're suggesting. Yeah, maybe leading to more individual responsibility, but less of that collective support.
Makes me think about those student loan changes, the public service thing.
Right. It's like, we won't help you with education costs, even if you're dedicating your career to helping others.
Doesn't quite add up, does it?
Not really, no. And the author, they don't sugarcoat it. They call Project 2025 a blueprint for regression, not progress.
Regression? Wow, that's harsh.
They're concerned, yeah. They're painting this picture, potential consequences, deepening inequality, our institutions getting weaker, not stronger.
Not exactly a rosy outlook. But is there any reason for optimism? Does the author offer any solutions, ways to fight back?
They do. And it all starts with, awareness, being informed. That's where we're doing this deep dive, right?
Absolutely. Got to understand the issues before we can even address them.
Exactly. The author's big on critical thinking. Don't just accept things at face value. Dig deeper. Question things.
Knowledge is power, as they say.
For sure. And then, once we're informed, what can we do? The author believes in collective action, people coming together, raising their voices.
There's power in numbers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So get involved, support organizations you believe in, hold those elected officials accountable.
Make our voices heard, make a difference.
Right. They even remind us throughout history, so much progress has come from everyday people demanding better.
Grassroots movements, people power.
Think about it. Civil rights, women's suffrage, these weren't changes handed down from the top. They came from people, passionate, organized, fighting for what's right.
Makes you realize we're not powerless, we can shape our future.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be this huge, grand gesture.
Yeah.
Every little bit counts.
Even just talking about these issues, spreading the word, that's a start.
It is, yeah. The author's big on that. Apathy is the real danger. As long as people are engaged, thinking critically, working together, there's always hope.
Hope for a better future. That's what we're all striving for.
Absolutely. Well, this has been quite the deep dive.
It has. Project 2025, inside and out. Potential impacts, arguments for and against. A lot to process.
A lot to unpack, yeah.
Definitely gives us all something to think about.
It really does. This roadmap, it's a potential game changer. Education, social contract, the whole 9 yards.
And this analysis we looked at, really critical perspective, urging us to consider the consequences, get involved, shape the future we want.
Yeah, it's a call to action, for sure.
And that's what we're all about here, giving you the tools, the knowledge to navigate this complex world, form your own opinions, maybe even spark some action.
The future's being written right now. We all have a role to play.
Well said. Couldn't have put it better myself. That's a wrap on Project 2025, for now at least, but the conversation continues.